basically the film is about this one guy, Ben, that decides he wants to start a blackjack team. And it happens through the people he hangs out with are his church and his family and his friends. So eventually those people start wanting to get in on it. So people meet people through other pastors and through pastors' schools and through their, the guy that plays the guitar at church tells them about it, and eventually like the whole team becomes comprised of almost all Christians because that's who they were hanging out with. Some of these guys are people that have just started churches of their own. They don't have a high income. They're not making money off of their church. So one of the things they do is they do this blackjack, where they can go play blackjack in a casino in Las Vegas for a couple weekends a month, and that gives them enough money to live off of for the whole month, so that they don't have to make money doing other things, and they can spend their time, focusing on their church and their communities rather than, spending it working all week at some job that they don't like. It was too good to not follow around. It was a friend of mine that told me about it, and once I heard card-counting Christians in the style of MIT blackjack team going in and beating the house, and then the fact that they were all pastors and heavily involved in their churches, that really made me want to find out more about it, and I just had to tell the story. So yeah, it is something that traditional Christianity has looked down upon gambling and thought, this is sinful. So for these guys to do this, they were stepping out of, the norm of what they'd been taught and what they'd been raised in. So they definitely had a lot of confrontation from family and friends and people who thought they were sinning just even being around casinos. So the thing I liked about the story was they weren't just accepting what they'd been taught, they were going back and like re-examining it, and when they looked back at things, they realized like, hey, this doesn't even say in the Bible that I'm not supposed to gamble, and they realized that maybe some of the traditions they've been taught were just traditions and they weren't necessarily a right or wrong thing. So.
And how long have they been doing this?
These guys the two guys that started the team started playing blackjack probably 8 or 9 years ago. And since then, the team's grown to, while I was filming, to 25 people, I think was the height of the team. And now, most of the people involved in the film, none of them are doing it anymore, but there's a couple other ones that have started, I think. So the process of the film was almost 4 years total. We did a few years of filming. Part of the problem was once I released the film, they knew that it would blow their covers. So I wasn't allowed to release it. That was part of the agreement, that I had to wait, possibly up to 10 years to let it out. So I wasn't in a huge rush to get it done. So I was working on my other projects and stuff along the way. But 4 years total, and they were fine letting it out. And I'm happy it finally got done. But it definitely was a long process. It's been a really mixed reaction. There's been people from churches that have loved it. There's been people from churches that have hated it. The kind of strange thing about the whole card-counting Christian thing is that most of the people on the team, even when they heard about it, they were against it. And it's something where they kind of evolve along the way and, start examining things and looking into it. And pretty much everybody that's strongly opposed to it, even the parents and stuff, after a long enough period of time, they usually come around and realize that there aren't any strong arguments against it. So, I think even, like I said, the people on the team and the people opposed to it, given enough time and enough discussions about it, they come around. And one of the guys that was most strongly opposed to it, one of the parents, is actually, he actually became the biggest investor in it. We called a few casinos, we called hundreds of casinos actually, and we got permission from a couple of them to go in and film, but for the most part there's a lot of footage in the film that definitely had to be obtained guerrilla style. We had certain casinos where I would have 4 or 5 guys lined up with these small little cameras. One of them would go in and start filming, and then as soon as they would get kicked out, after 1 or 2 minutes, I'd send in another one, with the same camera, and they'd get kicked out, and it's never, with the cameras, usually they just think you're a tourist and ask you to leave. But if they saw you doing it multiple times, they would start to think something's up. So I had to figure out things like that. We also had a little button cam that somebody used and went around and tried to get footage that way. We had all sorts of ways that we had to get it. It's been great so far. I haven't been here long, but I mean, the Apollo Cinema is awesome. Good energy. There's just a lot of people. All the screenings I've been to have been pretty packed, and I'm excited for our screenings. It's been a fun time so far.